Welcome into the live stream here from McCready. Who's my voice? McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal McCready. That's Tyler Siskey.
What it is, sir?
How are you?
Doing great, man. Doing great. It's been a lot going on in the world and life and everything. And, we're almost, I guess it's almost like time for my least favorite part of the year, which is where everybody goes and does predictions that will soon be wrong in about 4 months, 5 months. It's almost football season.
Yeah, I wrote about that a little bit. I don't do a lot of that because people hold them. They hold you to them even when you tell them, hey, these are kind of out there. They don't take it that way.
No, they do not. They take them dead serious. So, Ben, I was actually playing. You were gone last week, obviously, and then I did I pinch hit for you one day on Blue Sky Live.
I appreciate that.
And it was awesome for Cole. Cole got some clips for TikTok and everything, right? So it's good for Cole. But I did some lives, and now that TikTok's going under different, whatever they're doing. They're trying to, somebody has purchased TikTok. They're just not telling us.
Mm-hmm.
They're changing some algorithms and things. And so with the lives, I'm looking at the live numbers, and the live numbers probably like 50% of what they usually are at this time of year, And so I'm like, what am I missing? So I start going through and I start seeing the people with the green screens up. Okay. So like there's a way that you could type something, or you could take a screenshot and you can make it your green screen. Brother, I did that first time I did it, had 14,000 in there. First time. And so I was like, okay. And so when I'm doing the lives, I'll put a green screen up now, so the numbers and everything will get up there and get back to normal. And
what does that mean? You literally go get a green screen?
So, like there is a filter on the live where you can take a screenshot of anything and it becomes your green screen behind your head.
Okay.
Okay. And like so people are doing lists and things, right? So I was to have fun with people. I mean, people have meltdowns. And so I forgot what we did a green screen about Heisman Trophy things or, favorites. And then on Friday, I was messing with people because people are getting there. I mean, all up in their feels. I'm like, it's not my list. It's go get mad at Vegas. Not my list. They think it's your list. They'll wear you out. And so I said my top 12, my college football prediction, top 12, finals. And dude, I purposely left out like Ohio State, Georgia, Texas. And I was rolling with like some out there schools.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you would have thought that I stole their dog. They were pissed. And in the course of literally, I just did it to mess with people. And I tried to keep a straight face. And I did it for about 15 minutes. And we had, I think it was something in the course of 15 minutes, we had 4,000 comments in like 15 minutes. I mean, the thing was just on fire. So yeah, that was fun. It's fun to mess with the people.
Yeah.
But we got you figured out now, TikTok. As you noticed, I do not have TikTok up today. I do not have it up today live, just in case we start talking about something that I want to talk about.
Oh, okay.
There's no sense in doing
current events.
Some current events and things that are going on. There's just no sense in risking it today.
Yeah. I don't even really have a hot take on that.
Well, we never do, but they think it's a hot take.
Yeah, other than I have a hot take about media reaction to that. That would probably get us another TikTok strike because it would upset the purple-haired crazies.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the people at LSU. I'm talking about the crazies.
The crazies. The crazy.
See, I would have already gotten a strike one right there.
That's it. That was it. That's it. Which is, I don't know. It's a beautiful dance we do. And YouTube, you know what it is. It's YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and Instagram. Those are all owned by Americans, so you can get away with whatever you want to. I don't know who owns TikTok, but they don't like a lot of things. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that it's the most regulated app, their social media app there is, as far as like what you can say and do live. But the videos that are posted on there
are crazy.
Yeah. Crazy. But anyway.
All right, you ready to roll?
Let's do it, dude. All right. Keep it tight today. No Diddy.
Welcome into episode 287, McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal McCready. That is Tyler Siskey here on this Monday, June the 23rd. It's summertime. I was out last week. I'm here this week. I'll be gone next week. Then after that, I'll be mostly back with the exception of SEC Media Days, depending on whether or not I'm covering that, because I don't know.
Hey, what you going to do?
I don't know. And I don't know who I'm covering it for, if I'm covering it. It's interesting times. Interesting times. Just don't know. People say, what's going on? I don't know. They don't believe you when you say that.
No, they don't.
They think
I've been getting a lot of
they're like,
I've been getting a lot of questions.
they're like, you
And
can't say, and I'm like, I don't know.
Like, I tell people I don't know because I get asked for you, particularly when I'm out in public in this town. I get asked about it, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you do. Nah, I really don't. Because
if you do, please tell me.
Yeah, let Neal know. I don't know. I just work here.
We're brought to you by Rain Total Body Fuel. 300 milligrams natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram to learn more.
Neal, I'm rocking with the Kiwi blend today. One of my favorites. One of my favorites. This is like the I still always think this. It's like when I first started with the Kiwi blend. It's always one of my favorites. I have gotten to the point now with the rainstorms that my taste profile has changed.
Okay.
So at the beginning, all I tasted was the kiwi part. Like I felt kiwi. And now over the time, now it's like I don't really taste the kiwi. I'm about the sour apple. So it tastes like this one to me tastes like a green Jolly Rancher.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like this is what this tastes like to me.
So we got to Ruston on Friday. Stopped in Monroe. Carson and Laura and I did. Stopped in Monroe. Had lunch at Warehouse.
Okay.
Which has been in Monroe since like 1990. It was excellent. Got back in the car. Drove the rest of the way to Ruston. Checked into our Airbnb. And then went and did some grocery shopping. Got some rainstorm.
Let's go.
Bob will be happy to know that the Walmart market in Ruston, I think on California Avenue, was packed with rainstorm. They had a great supply, great selection. So we loaded up on some rainstorm among other beverages and filled up the fridge. Had a big weekend in Ruston. Really did. Had a big weekend in Ruston. It was great. Had all of our family together for my niece Morgan. She got married.
Congratulations.
On Saturday night. It's a good thing that I don't live in Ruston anymore because I would weigh 400 pounds. Both Friday and Saturday night, we went out on Friday night and got back late, and everybody was hungry. And so we ordered Johnny's Pizza. I know that doesn't mean anything to you, but if you lived in North Louisiana, you would remember Johnny's Pizza. And it was the first time I'd had Johnny's Pizza probably
since college. Wow.
And damn, it was good, man.
Good.
It was like
bring you back.
It was like memory lane. And then so Saturday night after the wedding, we got back. Everybody was a little more tired, but Caroline asked, "Is anybody hungry?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so next thing you know, we're on the phone with Johnny's again. 2 nights in a row, man.
Wow.
You know, it was some good Johnny's Pizza.
That's why you had to run extra this morning?
That's why I had to run a little extra this morning. And when there was leftovers, I was like, Caroline, why don't you take that back with you? You have that she had to get back to Northwest Arkansas. And I said, why don't you have that for your lunch? Why don't you take that out so that I'm not eating it.
Get it out of my way.
Get it out of my face.
I love it. Neal, the Cooper Chevrolet chat is already bumping. And right now, it's trunk month savings all month long on all Chevy and GMC trucks. Check this out, Neal. Outside, I'd love to show you when we get through. I am driving a brand new GMC truck. Little Denali action out there. I went and got we made another car purchase in the family. I got it from Cooper Chevrolet right there in Anniston, Alabama. But you can call those guys at Cooper Chevrolet. They will take care of you, get you any deal that you're looking to get. Make sure you give our guys at Cooper Chevrolet a call. The best in the business. Give them a call at area code 256-236-4481. We're also brought to you by the official RV dealer of McCready Siskey. County Line Campers right there off exit 38, I-10 in Gulfport, Mississippi. How about this? Big shout out, before we even get started with the reader today, big shout out to Sam. Trav's little son turns 2 today.
How about that?
Big shout out. Let's go.
Sam.
He's the man.
Big man.
We got to spend some time with Sam.
We did.
Stud. Awesome. He's the star of the show. Loves him some NASCAR.
Yeah, he does love NASCAR.
I mean, if I've ever seen and that time he wasn't even 2. If I've ever seen a little person like NASCAR more than that guy, I don't think they exist. But shout out to Sam. And also while I'm thinking about it, how about
Sam
this?
was taking it in, man. Sam was locked in when they turned turn 3, going down the stretch, and turn 4, heading back out to turn 1.
Dude,
he was like,
he was
his eyes.
The attention span was amazing.
His eyes were locked in. He was processing some information. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yes, but shout out to Sam's birthday today, and also Jackson, my oldest son, turns 19 today. How about that?
How about that?
My first world title.
Not as into NASCAR.
No, he is not. My first world title.
Yeah,
19 years ago today, actually. Well,
the first world title came prior to that.
9 months, about 9, somewhere. I think it was around 9 months before that. Around
the completion of that process ended 19.
I got the trophy. I got the trophy.
Right, there you go.
19 years ago. Yeah. It got delivered 19 years ago today. Yeah. How about that?
There you go.
But it's America. #America's birthday. So shout out to all to #America's team, the Clemson Tigers. Y'all need to listen up. It's America's birthday. So grab a hot dog, light a sketchy firework, and do something truly patriotic, like finally buying an RV that you've been wanting to explore this great nation in. Our campers are perfect for escaping your in-laws or pretending you're roughing it, because tents are for college kids and people who hate happiness. At County Line Campers, you can save up to 90% off the original MSRP on our huge lineup of pre-loved RVs, like a barely used 39-foot Puma mid-bunk travel trailer for under $400 a month. Or you can get a brand new or like new FR3 Class A motorhome as little as $500 a month. For folks who likes their RVs the way they like their socks and underwear, completely untouched. With over 100 new RVs to choose from, we've got dozens of new RVs with payments under $350 a month. That's less than your bar tab. And if you're a camper that needs repairs, our service department is good. It makes Waffle House at 2 a.m. look unreliable. Come see us 7 days a week right there in Gulfport, Mississippi, and check us out on countylinecampers.com. How about that?
How about that?
I won't hit Miss Des. Make sure y'all go check out all the YouTube and all that stuff. Miss Destiny's walkthroughs are awesome. It's like watching HGTV for me. I watch their TikToks. It's good stuff. All right, you ready to get it rolling?
Absolutely.
I was thinking about where we're going to start this thing today, because we hadn't had a show in a while. So I was thinking about where we're going to start this thing, and there was no other better place to start it. I go back to the distraught that you had about 6 months ago, a little more than 6 months ago.
About November the 10th.
Yeah, somewhere around that November 10th area, 6, 7 months ago now, 8 months ago. You were giving up basketball. You were never watching. You literally, the words came out of your mouth is, I'm not watching another NBA game the rest of the year.
Made it 2 days.
And you made it a whole 2 days. You were very upset. But last night, your fandom came to fruition as the Oklahoma City Thunder win Game 7. I have to admit, your fandom and me wanting you to be in such a good mood has spread amongst our entire family. Aaron's asking about it. Jackson was worried about Carson.
Mm-hmm.
So our family has been pulling for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't really know if it's because of the Oklahoma City Thunder as much as it is the McCready household. So
people worried about our well-being.
Yes, worried about your.
Yep.
We want you to be in good moods and enjoy life. So how did it feel to finally? Because you don't get a lot of these. You've had 2, the Cubs and I guess these, but you're not a fan of a lot of things. But
no.
The Cubs and the Thunder, you are.
Yep.
How did it feel to finally get the title in basketball as a fan?
Oh, it was awesome. We watched it together. Me and Carson did. We went to Game 2. Our nephew, Drew, my brother Ryan's oldest, he went to Game 7. He was with us in Ruston over the weekend, got up super early on Sunday to drive to Oklahoma City. FaceTimed me in the last minute of the game last night, so I got to watch. I got to see what it felt like in the arena.
What was the difference in time?
He was probably about 30 seconds ahead. Carson was like, get out. get
Yeah.
out, but I wanted to. And so
Yeah.
it was a little, the game was over at that point.
Right.
They pulled the starters and stuff. And, no, it was really cool. I mean, it's something that it's our thing, me and him, and has been for a long time. Really going back to about 2011 for him. For me, it was more like 2009. My brother lived in Oklahoma City when the Thunder moved there, and I was like, what the hell? Let's kind of follow something. And they were good. They had Kevin Durant, and Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, and Serge Ibaka, and Nick Collison, and Thabo Sefolosha, and all those cats. And they made it to the finals, lost to the Heat. You just assumed they'll be back. And they were 13 years later. And in those 13 years, we've been through a lot as fans together.
So you're experiencing in basketball with us Braves fans have experienced for the last 30 years?
Yeah. Yeah. Probably. We Carson in 2012 was just 6 years old. He doesn't really remember it. He was, he and then they had the Westbrook injury. You had the summer of basically a plague where everything that could go wrong for a franchise did. Then you had the close loss to the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals. You had the devastating blown 3-1 lead to the Warriors in the 2016 Western Conference Finals. And then July the 4th of 2016, Kevin Durant left, disappeared middle of the night to go to the very same Warriors. My young son in there at the time was almost 10. He
ruined his day.
He decapitated Kevin Durant's cardboard cutout that had been gracing his room for
it's a good
several
thing we don't
months.
have TikTok. That would have got us a strike right there.
And then after that, you had we doubled down on Russell Westbrook. Carson had a big Russell Westbrook fathead in his room for years.
Then he bolted.
And then, that
was a mutual thing, right?
They did the Paul George trade. They had a couple of years of Russell and PG, and then they tore it down. And they tore it down, and they said, "Hey, we're going to have to rebuild this thing." And rebuilds are hard for fans. When you tell fans, "Hey, we're going to tear this thing down to the studs, and we're going to suck."
I tried that. They didn't listen, Neal.
Yeah. It's hard.
It's hard. It's harder. Hard. It's harder now than it's been in ever. Yeah.
But the Thunder did. And there have been some weird games for us, the last few years. I mean, we've sat in here and watched the Thunder where you're like, you kind of cheer for the young players, but you don't want them to do too good because you need to lose. And that's a weird.
That's weird.
That's a weird thing for fandom.
When you were cheering for them to tank in the past, so you could get better lottery pick, that was a weird thing for me.
Yeah,
I don't understand that part.
It's hard, but
I get it. But
you needed better lottery balls. You needed more ping pong balls, and to get those, you needed L's. And for us, it's been this thing that gave us something to always kind of talk about. So I can remember Ben Craddock giving us courtside tickets. I cover Ole Miss. I got someone to cover the game for me so I could take Carson to the game. I guess this would have been like 2021.
I remember that.
Went to the Auburn Ole Miss game because Jabari Smith was star at Auburn. And we're sitting courtside. We're basically he's basically scouting Jabari Smith Jr., and we'd have all these conversations on the way to soccer practice and back about who would you take, Paolo Banchero, would you take Chet, would you take Jabari? And then, the night of the NBA draft lottery when the Thunder got the second pick, we spent the next month going, who do you take? Going back and forth. I feel like Jabari Smith, Paolo Banchero, and Chet Holmgren are like friends at this point. And we've talked about them so much. And then, they get Chet. He gets hurt, misses a year. They did the Shea trade, which was, at the time, nobody even talked about Shea. I can remember a podcaster that I listened to, Andrew Schlecht, who's now like becoming a pretty big podcaster. At the time, he was just a Thunder podcaster.
Right.
And he was talking about this kid at Santa Clara named Jalen Williams, who was coming up the draft charts. And I remember the two things about that draft night. Campbell and Caroline went to Arkansas, and Arkansas beat Gonzaga in the NCAA tournament, beat Chet Holmgren. And he wasn't particularly good in that game. And you're watching that game going, I don't know, man. I don't know about this Holmgren guy. He's kind of skinny and all that. And then they get Holmgren. And then with the 12th pick in the draft, they took Jalen Williams. And both of us were like, that's the dude Schlecht was talking about. And everybody in the NBA circles were like, Thunder really reached here for Williams. And now he's, the second best player on a championship team. But the last 3 years have been a lot of fun because they made the play-in, and you could see it coming. And then last year they went to the second round and lost to Dallas, and you really could see it coming. And they made two great trades or great acquisitions. They traded Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso. And then this is the part. I watch a lot of NBA. I watch more NBA than I should. I'll admit it. And when they did the Caruso trade, I was like, ooh, I really like that. That makes a lot of sense. It means we're kind of going for it. And then in free agency, they added Isaiah Hartenstein. And you were like, God, this team could win. Like, they could really win. But we spent the whole year going, but they're so young. And then
But they did.
And then Holmgren got hurt, and Caruso got hurt, and Hartenstein got hurt, and the other Jalen Williams was hurt. The one from Arkansas was hurt. And yet they just kept winning. And after a while, you go, why not? And when that flips a little bit, then the playoffs roll around, and that Denver series took years off our lives. And then Minnesota was fast, and then Indiana's there, and we were both hoping to be the Knicks. I'm convinced to this day the Thunder would have swept the Knicks. This shit would have been over a week ago. And this Indiana series, man, the Pacers, credit to them.
Yeah.
They are.
It was a great series.
I'm
man.
sick of Doris Burke's voice, but one thing she said last night that's right is she goes, that is a resilient bunch. And they are. I hated the Tyrese Halliburton part of it. It was awful.
You and I were talking about that beforehand. It's like these, as a coach, really, I was trying to remember when I started noticing it. But you get the hey, what's his injury? And trainers and people are scared to ever say it's Achilles. You get the strained calf injury. And those are a strained calf can be one of two things. It can be a strained calf, or it can be an Achilles issue. And
well, there used to be a show on Saturday mornings when I was a kid. It was basically the neck bones connected to the whatever. Hey, look, the leg, the posterior chain of the human body, it's all connected. The Achilles area is connected to the calf muscles, which are connected to the knee ligaments, which are connected to the hamstrings, which are connected to the glutes, and all of that stuff is interrelated. If you hurt one, if you play on a bad hamstring, you're jeopardizing the rest of the leg muscles because your body naturally
overcompensates.
Yeah, and so I was having a conversation, I guess whenever this happened in game 5, with an NBA friend of mine. I'll leave his identity out because he was careful with what he wrote. But he asked me, he said, what would you do if you were the Pacers? And I said, well, you'll make fun of me, but I'd sit him. I would take the decision out of his hands. I'd be the bad guy, and I'd sit him. And he's like, why? And I said, because he's 24. He's the future of my franchise, and we're jeopardizing his Achilles. If it's truly a second-degree strain, which is code for tear, okay? That means it's the muscle is jeopardized. He's a professional athlete playing at the highest level of basketball, going up against people like Lou Dort and Alex Caruso. And in the NBA Finals, they're not going to back off of you and go, hey, I heard you're hurt. No, they're going to come after you, right? And he has the big game in Game 6 where I was like, maybe I'm an idiot. And literally at one point last night, I was like, this dude's not hurt. And then boom. And then you see that and you go, wow. But in today's era, and number one, if you ask Tyrese Halliburton and he's got a pulse, he's going to play.
Yeah, you don't get to be. I got to listen to about 10 minutes or 15 minutes of your show this morning. And there was something you were exactly what you're going at, is you're saying, you've asked them, they're going to play. You don't become that elite of an athlete. Okay. None of those guys, they're right there. They're on that court right there. Or anybody in uniform. Hell would have been on that court.
Yeah.
Anybody in these uniforms.
Yes.
You don't become that elite of an athlete because you're a non-competitor. You are and that's your competitive character runs at 1,000% compared to anybody else.
And that's what you have organizations for.
Yeah.
That's what you have medical people for. That's what you have. You have systems, checks and balances, second opinions, third opinions inside a building. And I know had they done that, the hot take media would have said, he's he's soft, he's weak, he's just an excuse, he's scared. It's why I've started doing this more and more. You've probably noticed it. I'm off of it more and more because it's such a caustic world. And I shouldn't admit this because of what I do for a living is sort of dependent on it, to put out your material, to market your brand and all that. No, I mean, so now, look, they rolled the dice.
Yeah, and lost.
And, and had they won last night and he not gotten hurt, it would have been a big-time win. But not only did they lose, but he tore his Achilles. And look, he's an elite athlete. He's young. Surgeons are amazing these days. The technology is incredible. But
you never know.
You don't know. And there are people who have that injury who are never the same player again.
I have experienced, and love the kid. And like we had, I guess the first really, it was never really it was weird. You know what I'm saying? Like in football, they happen, right? But they're not they've become more and more prevalent over the years, than they were early in my career. I remember one of the very first guys that we had a problem with when I started learning a little bit more about it. When I was at Alabama, we had Ronnie Clark. And Ronnie was a 4-star guy, really just a good athlete. He played a gazillion positions. And we decided we were going to put him at running back. And his first camp, he tears his Achilles. Well, he comes, I mean, it's a year-long deal at that point in time, right? So he comes.
Still kind of is.
Yeah, and he comes back, and as soon as he comes back, he tears the other Achilles.
Oh, man.
And so, then you try to move him linebacker and try to find some things they can do. And you just never, everybody's so different. Some people, I think, are genetically predisposed to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in his case, if he tears one and turns around and tears the other, is it him overcompensating? Is it he's genetically predisposed to it? Then you start worrying about, is it something you're doing in training? Because that's always the paranoid thing from a coaching standpoint, is anytime you have a rush of a particular injury, you want to say, what are we doing training-wise? Are we doing anything that predisposes to this thing? Like at Arkansas State one year, we had 20, we lost 22 of our 44 in our 2 deep to season-ending surgeries. We had a terrible run of ACLs. And at that time, you start looking at, I know this is crazy, but genetically, if you look at a person's feet and how they run, the more, more duck pattern that they run in, they are a higher risk of ACL stuff, right?
Okay.
So there's so many things you start looking at.
So you started diving in and discovering
diving in
some of the people that you all had on your team
Some, but not
some
all.
of their ancestors were ducks.
Yes, right. Some, not all, right? But no, I'm just joking. But you start second guessing everything you're doing to see, are we the problem, right? And then, some of it's freak stuff, and you always assume that the Achilles was an old man injury, right? Not that long ago.
Yeah, it used to be. And what they're discovering now with these basketball players in particular is these guys are so long, they're so lean, they're so explosive. Everything, a lot of training.
Athletes got better.
Athletes got better. It's like, in baseball, they've taught guys how to throw harder. In basketball, they've taught guys how to jump higher, how to run faster, how to cut quicker. And then you're playing a lot of games. I mean, you think about the playoffs. Think about the playoffs for the Pacers. Started in basically mid-April. They went, 5 or 6 against Milwaukee. They went 6 against Cleveland, I think. They went 6 against New York, and then 7 against Oklahoma City. And most of that's every other day.
All right, let me ask you. This is
just,
a question.
It's just where the human body gets, those guys get tired. And before that, they played 82 games. I mean, it's a long grind. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be, because you got to make money. It's a business. These guys make a ton of money, but they are human and their bodies do wear down. And, you get an injury and it's late in the year. And, had this injury happened to him in December, they just shut him down for 2 months. And it would have just been, hey, he's got a calf strain. We're going to be careful with it. It's exactly what they would have done. This is a 6-week injury. We're going to wait 6 weeks. We'll reevaluate him. They'll ramp him back up. And then, hey, those first couple weeks of games, he probably would have been on a minutes restriction. But you don't have that luxury in the playoffs. And so, the playoffs every year, it's why people are like, oh, the Thunder's title's not legitimate. Shut up. So stupid. Every year people get hurt. I mean, the Celtics, one of Kobe Bryant's titles came in a 7th game. And in game 6 against Boston, Kendrick Perkins, who at the time was a young center for the Celtics, tore his ACL in game 6. Obviously didn't play in game 7. It was a factor. That's just part of sports, man. I mean, you've seen that. Yeah. You've seen teams lose a game because a guy got hurt. That's just part of the deal. It's why people like me who cover sports will often write the sentence, sports are fickle.
They are. All right. One thing I was going to bring up, and we'll move on because we make sure we get time to get everything else. But quick question. Do you think that with the NBA season for teams going to the finals, okay? I mean, it's where we're starting. I mean, training camp's starting in October, right?
No, training camp's 1st of September.
All right, so you got September basically through the entire month of June. So they got 2 months off. They're playing basically 10 months now.
Yeah.
Not enough rest and recovery in the offseason combined.
Well, and most of these guys don't really rest.
Yeah.
You know
what I'm saying? So
that's the deal.
Especially when you have like Olympics and things.
Well, I mean, like Shea and Andrew Nembhard and Lou Dort, 3 of the players in the finals were on the Canadian Olympic team.
Yeah. Do you think that you think that has anything? I mean, because some of these injuries are just wear and tear injuries.
Sure. Training camp used to be where you went to get in shape.
Yeah.
Now they're already in shape.
Yeah.
You see it in college sports. Guys used to show up and everybody would have 2-a-days or what y'all call it, fall camp. And it was to get guys you went around the team into shape. It's bullshit now. Now everyone's in shape from all summer. Yeah. They show up for camp in the literal best shape of their lives.
Best they'll ever be in.
And you have this grueling 3 weeks of August that coaches hold their breath the whole time. They won't admit it, but they do. Yeah. They hold their breath going, please don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt. They've completely changed scrimmaging and stuff. But the bodies, I mean.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with it. In all sports.
I mean, no diddy. The bodies are better conditioned. They're tighter. They're the muscles. They're bigger. They're more explosive. Their guys are leaner. There's less body fat.
Less flexibility.
There's less flexibility, and guys get hurt.
Yeah.
And in the playoffs, you saw this with Jason Tatum, and now unfortunately you've seen it with Tyrese Halliburton because of the high stakes and the quick turnaround, and there is no time for recovery. guys are risking it, and in Tatum's case and Halliburton's case, for the Celtics and the Pacers, that risk is going to cost them a season. I mean, he's realistically not going to play next year.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be whatever it is. He's not going to be ready for a long time because of when the season starts. All right, moving on. LSU closes up the NCAA calendar with a World Series, their 8th World Series win yesterday, against Coastal Carolina. This is exhibit 8,200 and 64,292. Why you should not talk shit about another league or anything until the season is over with.
Yeah.
A lot of
we live in a world where the
well, they love it, don't they?
The toothpaste is out of the tube,
brother.
Man.
I'm talking about just firing away. They couldn't wait till the regionals were over with, and the SEC is overrated. Well, they just finished what was that their 8th in a row? SEC's 8th in a row.
I think it was 7th in a row or something, and the one that they didn't win in this stretch, literally the ball is in the air, and if Arkansas catches the ball, it's 8, 9 in a row. Yeah, it's incredible.
So but the best, I guess everybody's talking about it today. Bob brought it up to even start the show today. The Coastal Carolina coaches getting tossed in the first inning was I had it on mute, and I'm looking, and I'm like, what are we? At first, I thought because they kept showing the pitch clock, so at first I was like, is there a pitch clock violation? And I'm sitting here going, no, there's no pitch clock violation. It's like, what's going on? Then they tossed the coach for basically arguing balls and strikes, and then there was a alleged bump that didn't happen. The umpire takes your spiel, and then the coach with the greatest line of all time in the press conference saying, I didn't know I had to be responsible for athleticism of grown men. I about died and fell out. Look, I got a few things on this. I've had my experience with officials and umpires in the past. Not umpires, but officials, football officials. Football coaches get away with a lot more than baseball coaches, apparently. I did listen to a part of your show today when you were talking about how the officiating and umpiring in college baseball is poor.
Yes.
The first sign of that, by the way, that even the NCAA and the TV know that the umpiring is wrong. Did you notice on all ESPN games this year, every college baseball game that ESPN covered, they took away the strike box?
I guess I did now that you say that, yeah.
They did not put that up there. Now, and you watch any other game, it's going to be up there.
Right there.
You're going to see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one thing is by seeing that box, you realize how good Major League umpires are.
They're really good.
They're really good.
They're really good.
So even when they miss, you're like, yeah, I can see why they missed.
And they're accountable too. Yeah. You know, I mean, but they're full time. That's what they do for a living.
That is true. They're good.
They're very, very good at it. I noticed it's the one thing, the last few years, I scolded myself because I do a show every morning with Chase Parham.
He loves his baseball.
Blue Sky Live, and Chase loves college baseball. Covers it, does a great job covering it. And I told myself a few years ago, I'm not going to lie to you. It's not my jam. It's not my thing. It's not something I would voluntarily pick and go, oh, yeah, man, here's what I'm going to do today, man. I'm going to watch me some college baseball. Nothing against it, okay?
Yeah.
I'm cool with it. Like all the people that insist on going, I hate the NBA, I'm like, it's cool. You don't know what? Hey.
It's just not your jam.
If it's not your jam, it's not your jam. It's all good. But I made myself start watching it. And and then this year, when Chase left for 247, I had to finish out the season.
Right.
And so I went to Hoover for the tournament, and Ole Miss was in the NCAA tournament. So I covered, I don't know,
a couple weeks,
6, 7 games.
Yeah.
And the two things I noticed that I took away from it was, wow, man, people love this. Like, people love this. This is great. Like, the environment, everybody loves it. And the second thing I noticed is, holy shit, man, the umpiring behind home plate's bad. Like, if you watch a lot of Major League Baseball, and I watch a good bit. I don't watch a ton, but I keep up with the Cubs, and I watch some other teams. And Major League Baseball umpiring is pretty damn good.
Yeah, they're good.
It's pretty good. And then you see the difference with the college game, and you're like, whoa. Like, it's the one thing I always say to people is, I can't believe this doesn't bother you more than it does.
Yeah.
Like, it bothered me.
You know, in Major League Baseball, if they don't call, like, anytime the ball is actually in the strike zone and they don't call it a strike, 9 times out of 10, it's because the catcher set up somewhere and he missed his spot.
Right.
I am cool with, okay? I am from the old school umpiring part where if you set up an inch and a half, 2 inches off the plate as a catcher and you set up and you don't move your glove, I have zero problem with that thing being called a strike. I don't know. Just me. That's how I grew up. Okay. And I caught for a long time. So if you set up and your guy's hitting spots, I'm okay with those calls. The umpires, they will give when they're outside the strike zone. That's probably usually where they miss a slider. Somebody misses on the outside, and dude, these guys in the major league are throwing like freaking watching Paul Skeens pitch. This guy's throwing sliders that are starting a foot inside, coming all the way across the plate, and it's in the white by like this much, and they're calling a strike. Okay, cool. But in Major League Baseball, the thing with me is, one, the balls and strikes, obviously they miss a lot, but from the actual box, that's why they stopped putting it up there. But two is this, that's bad. But in that moment, like I don't give a shit if he's arguing balls and strikes or what. You can't run a coach that was under that much restraint as he was. I don't care what he was arguing. You can't run a coach in that moment. And the one thing, and this is the part I heard this morning that you were talking about, y'all start talking about football officials and about how every league is different. Okay. Again, it's a system I grew up in. Okay. I'm used to it. As a coach, as a football coach, who's officiating your game. And if you do your homework, it's there for you to research. It's not, which every team I've ever been on has. We knew who the officials were that week. We went over it in a staff meeting. We had a freaking scouting report on the officials. Hey, this guy calls defensive pass interference a bunch. He's going to be the back judge on your side. Okay. And you knew one half, you had to know where he was at. And you had to educate your players on it. Hey, this guy doesn't call holding, or this umpire calls holding every damn day. So you got to make sure you got to let your guys know, hey, look, this guy calls holding a shit ton. You got to focus this week on making sure you keep your hands inside. If you get extended, your ass is getting a flag. And so you can coach around that stuff, and every league does it different. It's like you knew when in the tempo world era that was always a big deal. You knew who was going to spot the ball and run, or who was going to take their time and try to slow you down. And so you planned accordingly. In baseball, again, you get the balls and strikes behind home plate, but there's so much inconsistency in the college game that it's really hard to do. But in the pros, they understand it because those guys are so damn good. They got spread charts in those guys too, right?
Oh, for sure.
But so the balls and strikes part is kind of, I get that part. But the running the coach, that's the part I thought was.
It couldn't happen in that spot. He had to go up to the coach and go, look, I get it. You're pissed at me, and we'll talk about it between innings.
It's how he handled it, right?
But you got to get back in the dugout now.
Hey, look, I'm not running you, but I know I should. I've warned you. Please go back in the dugout. We'll talk about this later.
Don't make me do this.
Don't make me do this.
Don't make me do this.
And the coaches would be like, they get it.
Yeah.
And
then let him have his piece between innings.
Yeah, go talk to him, get it out of the system, and then move on.
And go from there. And then, hey,
it was handled
do better.
It was handled very immaturely by the umpiring crew.
And the guy at Coastal's got a reputation. He's a hothead.
Yeah. But in that moment, this isn't a Tuesday midweek game. You know what I mean? This is, I don't know. I thought that was kind of chicken shit on the umpire's part. All right. One thing I want to talk about, and it's really, and then one of the last things we'll talk about today, is I've seen a lot of this in the last few weeks, the mental side of sports.
Mm-hmm.
I was sick to my stomach for Arkansas fans last week with the kid with two outs.
I was sick for the kids.
Yeah, but I'm sick for the kid too. Yeah. But I'm just all Arkansas people, right? Sure. 2 outs, 2-run lead, and he misjudged it. Tried to make a replay, and then once you change your eye angle, your eye level on a fly ball, it's.
He kind of stumbled too, didn't he?
He stumbled trying to come back up. Yeah, he couldn't decide if he wanted to dive or not. Was what it looked like. Like you just feel bad for that in that moment and the added anxiety. And then yesterday, I know you're not a golf guy, but yesterday Tommy Fleetwood came into yesterday with a 3-shot lead, and had a 1-shot lead on going into 18.
Yep.
Okay, and he bogeyed. He missed a putt to tie it, and Keegan Bradley makes a birdie, ends up winning the tournament. But Tommy Fleetwood, Neal, is the 13th ranked golfer in the world. I know you probably don't know anything about the guy. So his nickname is Fairway Jesus because he's got a beard and everything. He's got long hair. One of the nicer people on tour. I have ran into him with my kids at tournaments and stuff, like at St. Jude's or wherever. And he's always the guy that gives the kids the dap, just a very available guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's won like 7 or 8 times, like on the European tour and the DP tour and all that stuff. He's won on the, I guess it's now called the, I guess I don't know if it's still the DP tour or the World Tour, but he's won worldwide on some tournaments. He's just never won the PGA Tour.
Right.
But he's like finished second a gazillion times and top 10. He's actually leads the all-time record in the PGA Tour for top 10 finishes without winning. And then he actually got in a playoff earlier this year and lost in the playoff. So just so there is mental block there and all that stuff. And it's why I always say is like, and I don't know, he's obviously really good at golf. And you see guys that struggle in golf, and I'm not going to mention the guy's name, but there was a professional golfer that's won a bunch on tour. I said this because I knew I said I went on our show. I said this when I was with Chase. We were talking about it. There's a professional golfer that's won 6 times in the PGA Tour, like a guy that's won recently, and that's been doing better. But like he is friends with another coaching buddy of mine.
Okay.
All right, and he calls this guy's like a good golfer, and he calls my buddy, the football coaching buddy. He's like, "Hey, what's that sports psychologist you guys use? I need some, because it's an individual sport, right? So, and I'm like, why does that guy need a guy? You know what I mean? It's like, he's pretty damn good. But one of the reasons I think it has to be who you are. I think this is where people miss in sports, particularly in the world environment that we're in now. Okay. I think we're going to see this increase a little bit in college sports. I think we're losing the mental part with the kids, and I'm just going to tell you why. I think Nick Saban, you've heard the words, the process, right? And that's what the process is about. And it's the only place, I've been there one time. We kind of got there with Arkansas State on freezes last year to where you knew we were going to win. You just had this feeling like we were the worst practice team that ever existed. Okay. We would look like complete dog shit all week long. I'm talking about bad. Like we're fixing to lose by like 25 points this weekend. We're fixing to get skull drug, and we'd go out there and score and be up 31-0 at halftime, and it's like those kids just got it right. And they were a good team, but they knew they couldn't lose. And then there was this thing when I went to Alabama. It's probably it's the only place really that I could say this about. I didn't care what happened in the game. I didn't care what time it was in the game. You never thought you were ever even in danger of losing a game until literally you looked at the clock and you're like, damn, this game's over with. Like it's it's hit 0-0. I mean, I remember we played LSU down in Baton Rouge, and we had a tie game like with inside 2 minutes in the fourth quarter, and TJ Yeldon fumbles the ball at like the 6-yard line or 4-yard line, like our 4-yard line. And there was no panic. There was nobody going, oh shit, oh my gosh, it's happening to us again.
Yep.
Other places I've been have been immediately, they would fold up like, oh, here we go, or not again. It was just different. And when you look at the process, the key part of the process is it's not a result-oriented thing. It's do your job each play. You got to break things down to really small victories, I guess, or small, like each play has a life of its own, right? Do your job on this play and then line up and do it on the next play. And don't worry about the scoreboard. But when you look back at like what Coach Saban had success at Alabama, and I think Kirby said it best. I mean, when I'm sure other people have taken it, but to my knowledge, this is Kirby making this up, is he was like, hey, brother, it's 4th and 1 every day. Like on March the 14th at 11 a.m. on a Wednesday inside that building, it's 4th and freaking 1.
Right.
Every day, everything you do is 4th and 1. And so since every day is a stress, the games you don't worry about the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think now in today's environment with the players, I don't think you can necessarily do that and keep them on your team. I think you've had to I think coaches have had to sacrifice
Yeah.
how they hold kids accountable, how they coach, how hard they coach. And again, it was like every second was 4th and 1, man. I mean, it's just the best way to Kirby had did the best job of describing it. That's what he said. It's like, dude, it's 4th and 1 every day around here. I was like, yeah, that's good. That's a good, you feel that pressure in March. And so there was never that deal. But I think that we're losing that in college athletics a little bit with the way you have unlimited free agency, and you're so worried about that they're going to get in the portal and leave the good ones that you kind of give up that sacrifice. If that makes sense.
Cody, thank you for the super chat. I don't really know what you're saying. Guy says, I agree they shouldn't have run him, but at the same time, the coach should have known the ump has a hair trick on.
I think he's trying to say hair trigger.
Okay.
On. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for the super chat. Hey guys, if you are looking to get out of corporate America, looking for your next business venture, if you're interested in learning about buying a business or a franchise, Andy Ludiki can help. He is a diehard college football fan, franchise veteran. Andy will work with you to help you find a franchise or a business that fits your DNA. Andy's an awesome guy. I've sat down, had a couple beers with him a couple times. Great dude. He loves to help other people, and he just wants you to call him, learn about his process and his services. They're 100% free. It's a no-brainer for those of you wanting to get into business ownership. And by the way, Andy's doing an NIL deal with any college baseball team that you refer him to. When you do business with him, every person that he works with from here, he'll donate $500 to $1,000 to their favorite college baseball team's NIL. So call Andy. He's a great guy, has a ton of business experience to lean on through your process. It's Andy at myperfectfranchise.net, 404-973-9901. We're also brought to you by Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Their simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer. They do it remarkably well. They've got Dr. Juice. They've got Envy, Ghost in the Machine, and so much more. Wherever you look for beers, look for Parish Brewing Company products. You will not regret it. And I should tell you now that Prize Picks is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to $2,000, 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. The app is really easy to use. To create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your money. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this baseball season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports takes into real money all season long on Prize Picks. I mentioned Chase Parham earlier. His picks today are Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh with more than 1.5 total bases versus the Twins, and he's got Braves starter Spencer Schwellenbach under 5.5 strikeouts or less than 5.5 strikeouts versus the New York Mets. So download the app today. Use the code MPW to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code MPW to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
I'm terrible at the props. Terrible. Neal, it's summertime and it's hot, but the deals at Kia of Meridian are hotter. We have 1.9% on the 2025 Sorrento and Sportage. Do you need a low payment and a great warranty? The Kia K4 has payments as low as $379 a month. With school sports fast approaching, what's a better way than to get a brand new Kia Carnival? They have over 70 brand new vehicles in stock, so come see us or give them a call at area code 601-483-6444. And when you buy a new or used car here at Kia of Meridian, be sure to mention the McCready Siskey Show so you can spin the real and win awesome prizes like a PS5 and Xbox, a TV, and more. So check them out on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at Kia of Meridian. How about that?
How about that?
How about that? All right. Now that we're close up with this, now that we are getting close, okay, now that the baseball's over, the next sport up per sources is college football. So we're getting into the fun part of the year. We'll just ease into it every show as we go. I do want to release my first 2 hot takes of the 2025 season. So we'll just ease into it.
Okay.
You're going to love this first one. My first hot take of the 2025 college football season is 2025 will be the year that Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers beat either Georgia or Alabama or both.
Hallelujah. I mean,
how about
that?
How about that? They got them both at home at Jordan Hare. Auburn is going to have the interesting part for Auburn. I have spent a good bit of time looking ahead more than I have now that it's officially getting here. Auburn's got an interesting start to the year. Their schedule's very, very interesting. It's all going to be how they get out the gate. They got to go to Baylor. Baylor's got a lot coming back too now. Baylor's going to be a lot better than they've been in the past. They got to go to Baylor. They got to go to Oklahoma. They got to go to Texas A&M, and they host Georgia. Those 4 games are all in the first 6. After that, it becomes very manageable through the last half of the year until they play Alabama. So if they can come out of that first 6 decently, they'll have a chance to really get on a run there before they host Alabama at home. So that's kind of where I'm at with them. But I do think, the key part of this is they got 4 of the 5 offensive linemen coming back. You're adding a brand new quarterback room that all 3 of the quarterbacks there at Auburn, that whole quarterback room is better than what they've had the year before. Defensively, returning a lot of players, 6 starters, returning a lot of production. So I expect them to be a lot better. Again, it's going to depend on what that first 6, how they come out of that. But I think this is the year they get one of the other or both. All right, you'll really like my second one.
All right.
My second hot take for the 2025 season is this one goes out to Tennessee fan. This goes out to the Tennessee Vol fans.
Okay.
We had this Nico thing a couple months ago, right?
Yep.
And a lot of these almost all of the Tennessee fans were like, hey, Josh Heupel, that's the way you do it right there. You tell him we don't need him. Kick rocks. So my hot take will be this. All of the Tennessee fans that were like, Josh Heupel, that a way to tell Nico to kick rocks. That a baby. We don't do that shit here in Vol country. Those same people, after they lose the first game, the same people are going to go, Josh, we should have signed him and kept him. We should have just paid Nico and keep him. We should have kept him. That's going to be my second hot take. You will see the Tennessee fans upset that they did not pay Nico after the first loss of the season. That will be my first two hot takes of the 2025 season. And I'll say this for the new folks that haven't watched our show. For the record, I don't think either Tennessee or Nico won in the situation. I think they both are worse off than they were to start. So I think Nico ends up getting a pay cut in his third year, going to play with, and hasn't even practiced with the team. They got Joey Aguilar, Mecklenburger. They got McIntyre, guys that have never really had the team under the control. So who's going to win the job at Tennessee? I just don't. It's just, I don't think either side won on that one.
I'll have to work on some hot takes. I didn't know we were doing hot takes until earlier today.
Yeah, you're good.
So I'm going to come up.
Got plenty of time.
I'm going to come up with hot takes, but I don't really have any yet.
Yeah.
I had someone ask me the other day. They're like, "What do you think?" Okay, Kentucky maybe.
Yeah.
What do you think about Kentucky? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure I know who's on their team.
Well, Kentucky to me, I've done the whole SEC. I've done most. I got like 4 teams I don't feel good. I don't have a good pulse on. Not in the SEC, just period. Kentucky to me is it's a very similar team that they've had every year, right? Like nothing. You think about when Stoops when he started winning 8-9 games, right?
Yep.
I think all these teams are about the same from a roster standpoint. Kentucky is a team that always plays well at the beginning of the year. And if they can win some of those games early, they seem to start stacking wins. When Kentucky struggles early, then they let a win or two, and then they let either the wins snowball on them or the losses snowball on them.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no in between. And so, like, they started the year, they played Georgia. It was a 13-12 game. They beat Ole Miss in Oxford.
They did.
And then they turn and they lose after that, and they're like, okay, we're 1-2, and then lose, and it just snowballs.
Yes.
But like, they are a team that, you got Calzada, and what has he done? He goes out and throws for 3,400 yards or whatever he threw for last year. I mean, he threw for a gazillion yards. I want to see him in that offense. But again, I think it's kind of like the same team every year. I don't feel like they're a worse roster than they had last year, but I don't think like it's a better roster than they had last year. But it goes for the same for like the last, 6-7 years, even back to the Will Levis days. I kind of just feel that's who they're going to be good defensively. Can they find enough ways to score points on offense, if that makes sense? So I've kind of already got my SEC tiered out. I kind of have a good feel for everybody. Here's the interesting thing for you. I came across this the other day. Did you know that there's only 25 teams out of the 133 FBS?
Okay.
There's only 25 teams in America that have 11 or more starters returning on their football team. There's only 25.
I did not.
But when you think about that, I don't know if the fans can really understand what that means. I can honestly look you dead in the eye.
I think there'll be more volatility than usual. Because you have less continuity.
Correct. I don't know if I ever coached before the era of transfer portal immediate eligibility. I don't know if I ever coached a team ever in my life that had that few 11 or fewer guys. I don't think it's ever happened.
Yeah.
And ever. It's just guys are coming and going. But that is insane. And that's why, like, when people do the predictions, I'll give you a heads up when it comes to predictions. When you look at like the Big 12, okay, do you know who won the Big 12 last year? Do you remember? Went to the playoffs.
Big 12 last year was won by. This is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Tells you where we're at.
SMU? No, they were in the ACC.
Arizona State. Oh. Thought you said Siri. Arizona State.
Arizona State.
Okay. Arizona State has the most starters coming back of any team in America.
Okay.
And they have a team that went to the playoffs.
Right.
They got their quarterback back, Sam Levitt. Oh, she is liking you today. But
she's launching into Arizona State content. She's trying to help me with my preseason research.
But when you look at Arizona State, they got the most players coming back, and they went to the playoffs. So, I mean, now, totally different, which we've talked about. So it's one thing to show up and people not – like, nobody gave Arizona State any love until, like, week 10 of the season last year. They kind of snuck up on everybody and made a run. Now, that's not going to be the case this year. Everybody's going to know they're showing up. But when you start looking at, okay, they got 17 dudes coming back, plus the starting quarterback that's really good. I mean, in the Big 12, I mean, that's an easy check the boxes kind of thing, right? So, I think but you got to look. You go all the way down. There's only 25 teams, and you look at like Ole Miss, which is like Ole Miss has got 5 starters returning from last year. 5, 2 on defense. Like of their front, like it's just what's crazy is like trying to predict what's going to happen. It's like, okay, so everybody keeps asking, what Ole Miss, all that stuff. When you look at it, you're like, well, guys, they got not a single returning starter in the back end, not a single returning starter at defensive line. They have 2 starting returners, and both of them are at linebacker.
Daugherty and Perkins.
That's it.
Yep.
And then on offense, they got 3. And so how to predict what somebody's going to do when they got 5 starters coming back. And
it's why when I hear Ole Miss people go, anything less than 9-3 is a disappointment. And I'm like, I'm not sure how you get there. Grind, thanks for the super chat. He says, Siskey, I think AU has a top 5 wide receiver room in all of college football. Do you agree? I say it's the second best in the SEC on a bad day.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I said that I did a show a couple months ago with Cole Kubelik. I did his the Cube show. I did his show, and and somehow it came up. Yes, I agree that they have arguably, and I said arguably the best. So the top 5, yes, best wide receiver room in the country. Alabama's going to be good, obviously, with J.J. Smith, and Ohio State's going to be good. But yes, they are legit. I think Cam Coleman will be a star, like a superstar at Auburn. And then they got Singleton. So here's the thing: is that the kid they got from Georgia Tech, they can fly. He's going to be able to knock the top off of a lot of things, and it's going to put a lot of stress. Like Singleton's probably the best thing to happen to Cam Coleman, because you're going to have to pick or choose who you're giving help with. And if you can that's why it's really important for Auburn. They got 4 offensive linemen coming back, and Lou being, in my opinion, Lou's one of the best centers in the country. I mean, I think he's a star at center, which is a good place to start it. But they got 4 coming back up front. If Auburn can establish a running game at all, they're going to be a problem for a lot of people, because you're going to have to play too high, and you're going to have to pick on who you're doubling, who you're not. And I think if you got a good running game, there's going to be opportunities. It'd be a good time if you're a running back to play at Auburn right now. It's a good damn time, because you're going to get a lot of 6-man boxes.
Want to dispense some life advice before we
let's do that.
roll out of here?
Yeah.
Life advice brought to you each and every show by our friend. Hold on, I'm getting to it. Cole Walters, State Farm Insurance. Cole is licensed in auto, home, life, health, business, and pet insurance for the whole state of Georgia. He'll be licensed in Alabama here very soon. So contact Cole at 706-525-7850. 706-525-7850. You can also find him online at colewaltersinsurance.com. Says this applies to me right now. This is the person. This is not a part of me at all. Thank God. This applies to me right now. It also applies to others as well. Me and my girlfriend are probably going to be getting engaged soon, if she's dumb enough to say yes to being with me. What would the two of you say to couples getting close to that engagement time? What advice would you give? And ultimately, what are some absolute truths that you should agree on before engagement? What should you talk about in detail? What red flags should you look out for prior to asking your significant other's hand in marriage? On a side note, when did the two of you know it was the right time to ask your wives to marry you? And did you have any doubts or questions about it going into it? If so, how did you overcome it? Thanks and much love to you guys.
Well, the first thing I would do, and again, I'm not shocked, by the way. I'm not shocked. Most people still do this. This used to be a prerequisite back in the day. Regardless of anybody, I would make sure I communicate with the father of said girl to ask for their permission. It's a respectful thing to do.
Yes,
and it will start things on the right way. Some people don't, and I don't. You're not setting yourself up for success by doing that.
Agreed.
So I would ask for and you're the father of 2 daughters that are getting in their 20s. So that would be my first advice. As far as when do you know, like I don't really have any shattering. When you know. I don't remember going, you know what, now's the time I know. I don't remember being like in a particular event or anything happening that I know. I
think this is a young person thing. That's a new thing. I think young people today, especially the ones that are organized, they almost feel like they have a checklist and you have to have everything checked. And once everything's checked, then you go to the next thing. And that's my observation. That's not really how life works. Sometimes some of the boxes are checked, some of the boxes are kind of checked, and some of the boxes just kind of aren't checked yet. But you kind of, if you think about it, like, we're okay. It's not a big thing, right? Are there things you should absolutely talk about? Yeah. Like, do you want children? It's a big one.
Yes, that would be. I was going there next. That
career, like what do you want out of your career? How flexible are you? about moving geographically. There's some things like that you could probably handle. And there's basic stuff that you can tell you either have something in common or you don't, as it pertains to like, are you a morning person or a night person? Do you like to travel? Do you how do you sort of what's your approach to money? What's your approach to, is there anything that's a tick for you that if it drives her crazy or vice versa? That, I mean, if it's a problem now, it's going to be a problem later. But then understand this about marriage. Marriage is hard. Like, you're going to have rough times in good marriages. And you're going to do shit that drives your wife crazy. Like, me and Carson drove Laura crazy over the last 2 months. All right? We just drove her crazy. Like, the Thunder would play, and we'd be in the living room. We had all these damn superstitions, and he had one side of the couch, and I'm on the other side of the couch. Like yesterday, she's like, y'all be careful. Y'all going to break something. Are you going to get hurt? We're like, no, we've been doing this so long that we know where we go. And we got loud a few times, and we said really bad things about Nikola Jokic. And last night, we said some really bad things about the little white dude for McConnell. My God, I, for the second time today, I'd like to apologize to TJ McConnell's family for all of the things that I said about your son, husband, I mean, brother. But Laura knew when she married me that, like, I was a pretty big Cubs fan. That there are things that I did, right? I knew that she was a neat freak, and that was kind of non-negotiable. And so you have to figure out what are the non-negotiables and what are the negotiables. But a lot of that, like you said, you either sort of know, you know if it has a chance to work, and just in the same way that you know if you're in a relationship that's like, this isn't going
not sustainable.
anywhere.
Yeah. So, and somebody, Drew and Tupelo Reb in the chat, which I agree with, mentions religion. Like, I think that's a really important, what's important to you, right? And so for me, it's the one thing that, you know, and I think me and my wife did this naturally, but you know, when you start talking about, hey, if we had kids one day, like, how do you raise your kids too? You know what I mean? Like, what I mean by that is, you know, do you have similar thoughts on discipline and those kind of things? But there's going to have to be compromise no matter what, on her part and your part.
And flexibility, because some of the things that you think you know, you don't know. Like, you know, when we first got married, it was a big deal to Laura that we have sit-down dinners. You know how many sit-down dinners we have?
Yeah, not when
it hardly exists.
It's tough.
And like when we had kids and stuff, especially when they were little, it just was very rare. Even when Carson was in high school, it was very rare that we sat down as a family and had dinner.
Right.
Right. Like, we used to go to church all the time. Honestly, after the COVID stuff, I hadn't been to church much. I'm not proud of that.
Right.
But like, you have to have things that you have to have things that you're willing to give a little and understand that life is going to throw you curveballs and sliders and slinkers and splinkers. And it's not all going to be 75-mile-an-hour fastballs right down the middle that are easy to hit. If that were the case, the divorce rate would be 0. So just you either know that it's something that has a chance to work, or you already know that it doesn't.
Here's a good way. When you got me thinking when you said that. A good way, I guess, to know, and this is probably when I knew. I don't know. There wasn't a time, but if you feel like no matter what, besides you cheating on her, but no matter what, whether good finances come, bad finances come, good days, bad days, no matter what, if you honestly feel that that person, your partner, has your back and you got their back, no matter what, like, no matter what, like, there's times when I'll say it. There's times my wife could be dead wrong on some stuff, dead wrong, but I got her back. But now private, I'll be like, babe, are you shitting me right now? But in front of everybody, I got her back. I got her back. My wife, sometimes she'll get crazy on the kids, and I got her back. Now, afterwards, I'm like, babe, let's chill a little bit, whatever it is. But always, if you feel like she's got your back and you got her back, no matter what, on anything. And that's one thing, like, I always say is like, I got lucky when it came to the coaching part. I mean, I kind of knew, dude, my wife could put up with the GA years. I mean, all the working and traveling and with no money and everything else.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like, she's a keeper. She's in, she's got my back. And I think that's something that's important.
We've been brought to you by our friends at Rain Total Body Fuel. I got the wrong page up. Tell I'm off my
300 milligrams of natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, and zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals.
Mm-hmm.
So check them out at Rain Body Fuel to learn more. Neal, we've also been brought to you by the official RV dealer of McCready and Siskey County Line Campers. Shout out to Sam's second birthday. It's also hashtag America's birthday coming up next Friday. How about that? So grab a hot dog, light a sketchy firework, and do something truly patriotic, like finally buying that RV that you've been waiting to explore our great nation with. Our campers are perfect for escaping your in-laws, pretending you're roughing it, because tents are for college kids and people who hate happiness. At County Line Campers, you can save up to 90% off of original MSRP on our huge lineup of pre-loved RVs, like a barely used 39-foot Puma mid-bunk travel trailer for under $400 a month. They also have a like new FR3 Class A motorhome for as little as $500 a month. For folks who have their RVs the way they like their socks and underwear, completely untouched, they have 100 brand new RVs to choose from. And if you're a camper that needs repairs, our service department is so good, it makes Waffle House at 2 a.m. look unreliable. Come see them 7 days a week right there off I-10, exit 38 in Gulfport, Mississippi. And don't forget to go check out TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the deals there with County Line Campers, and see Miss Destiny's walkthrough on everything. And when you think about camping, think about County Line Campers. Neal, we're also brought to you by our friends at Kia. All travels in the chat today at Kia of Meridian. It's summertime and it's hot. And it is really hot, by the way.
Very.
But deals at Kia Meridian are even hotter. That means you should go for a run at Kia Meridian. You'd lose some more pounds. They have 1.9% on the 2025 Sorento and Sportage. And do you need a low payment and great warranty? The Kia K4 has payments as low as $379 a month. With school sports fast approaching, what better way to get there than in a brand new Kia Carnival? They have over 70 brand new vehicles in stock. So come see them at Kia Meridian or give them a call at area code 601-483-6444. And don't forget to mention McCready and Siskey when you show up, because you know what's going to happen? They're going to let you spin the wheel and win awesome prizes like a PS5, an Xbox, a TV, and more. So check them out at Kia of Meridian.
We'll be back on Thursday with another edition of The Big Show. Until then, have a great week. Try to stay out of the heat as much as possible, because it's really hot out there. So until next time, take care.